Well, for a long time, I didn't know what I actually didn't know what it was. I knew what the word meant. I'd heard the word a lot of times, like, oh, compassion's that thing that you do where you make people feel a bit better. But then I remember the first time where I felt it. And actually, you know, in the Buddhist scriptures, what they say is, well, compassion is a flowering of when unconditional love meets suffering. So that's it. That you don't do the compassion. The compassion, it just spontaneously arises. So the love acknowledges and fully allows the suffering, and then compassion arises. And when you truly feel, I know you have, I know a lot of people have actually, when you feel compassion blossom in the heart, it is the most beautiful, it's the most beautiful thing I've ever experienced. And it continues to be that. And having had a life of not experiencing it, you know, a long life of it being offline, to find this gift, it was like, oh, this is what human experience can be. Like, it can have this in it, this continual ripening, opening, blossoming, flower of love for myself and for others. Man, you kind of want to reside there, don't you?
Oh, and I say, Simon, I'll say this not to blow smoke up your ass, but you reside there as many times as I've talked to you. You have never not resided there.
Well, luckily for you, so remarkable. My ass is empty, so it, you know, and ungrasping. So.
Yes, empty flatulence is something I strive towards, where it's just nothing but emptiness, no form, because the form has stinkiness to it. The pure emptiness. You know, so before I forget, I want to point to something that you were talking about. One of the 1,000 arms of Avalokiteshvara is specifically aimed at healthcare professionals, of which you are one, because you work with people who are suffering in that way. Many times over the years, I've talked about the distinction that a sociologist, Paul Bloom, or psychologist, talked about, which is the distinction between empathy and compassion. So when you first described how you thought of compassion in the early days, you said, it's like making people feel better and so on. It's something you do. So empathy, affective empathy, is feeling someone else's pain as yours and then acting from how that makes you feel. So if someone's suffering in the emergency department and then you're like, okay, let me let myself feel that. Oh, that must feel, it feels terrible. Let me do something quick here. Let me give them a medicine, or let me do something in a very short term. And empathy has a very narrow focus towards people that look and feel like you. You can only empathize with pretty much a single individual. You can't. That's why charities always show a single starving African child, not talking about famine. And it's very reactive, and it causes a fatigue, a kind of a suffering here. Now, what you're pointing at is what I would instinctively point to people and say, but there's compassion, which is love in the face of suffering. Exactly what you said, suffering, and then compassion expands to meet it. And it's a happening that isn't you. So it's infinite. It's a force of nature. And you're just there holding it and not even holding it. And so there's no compassion fatigue. There's empathy fatigue. There's no compassion fatigue. It's infinite. And once you understand that heart opens, then you can work in healthcare. And it's just, sure, it's still hard, and sure, it's stress on the body. But man, it's so different than holding suffering as your own.
Sure.
And it's beautiful. And so people will ask, well, then how do I avoid burnout and that? And it's like, well, what we're pointing at is central.
Sure. Yeah, because just the amount of energy do you have to expend as a self trying to keep yourself safe in the face of all that suffering. Because that's what happens as a self, is you meet people that are really suffering and you think, well, how do I protect myself? But if there's no self, there's no protection. You don't need to protect a no self. Like, and I'm not trying to put the baby before the bathwater. That's not a thing, is it? Put the car,
the horse before the cart, the cart before the hearse.
Yeah, exactly. But you don't need to worry about that if you can just trust presence and availability. But it comes in stages. It doesn't come online all at once, because the habitual survival mechanisms to close, to protect ourselves, are really, really deep. They're really strong, and they're reinforced all around us all of the time. So just seeing, and we talked about this, you know, it was like nearly 2 months ago, was it? It's about 6 weeks ago when we had our chat.
Yeah, it's been a while, yeah.
But like we talked a bit about, it's gone. It's gone. The presence has wiped it.
Isn't that amazing?
The presence has wiped it from me. Yeah, we talked about so many things.
And I was with you, and then now it's gone too. Yeah,
how beautiful.
I know.
But
it's great. Hey, it wasn't meant to be.
Protection. Yeah, that's it. So
protecting the self. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And you feel that. I certainly feel that in my job where I'm working with other people, and you can see actually that burnout thing happening because they're just trying to navigate it all the time. Navigate, how do I behave with this? As opposed to just saying, actually, I don't know what to do. I don't need to plan. I'm just going to listen. Let's just listen. Let's start by listening, and then maybe something will arise. And if you're a professional who's trained for years, you are equipped. It will arise. Yeah. It will arise. Just trust that. If you've had like you know, what, 7 years of medical training and all that kind of stuff, it'll come up. Like, you've got the skills, they are embedded. You don't need to put that protective layer in front of it to think, right, I need to now plan how to give care. Actually, trust the skills that you've embedded in you, and then just give presence, and care will arise. And like that empathy that you were talking about, it feels like, well, empathy is a faculty, isn't it? Whereas compassion is the heart-opening love, that we, you know, the heart-opening action. So it's like the empathic faculty is engaged, but then, as in, like, we're able to empathically connect, and then the heart can open, as opposed to, oh, I just empathize and just stay in that. Okay, well, there's someone else, they're suffering. What do I do about that? You know, that's a different thing from going, there's someone else, they're suffering. Yeah, I'm coming in that well. Yeah.
Lean in. Yeah. Open, available. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And man, this is so important, because I'm feeling into this now, this idea that as a self who's contracted and protecting their core from injury, which actually we're taught to do continually in medicine. You need to have boundaries. You need to have this and this, and this is how you do it. And then you recharge, you go on holiday and you do this, and then you come back and you give all of that again. And then, but then you're keeping yourself. So that poor thing that's trying to navigate helping other people without getting hurt is so innocent.
Oh man,
it's doing
I just
the best
felt
it can.
So hard, because it's so like it's such a poor thing. Like, oh, I mean, because you know, I know you can remember what that felt like, and I know you can remember the number of years we fought and fought and fought as a person to just try to be enough, just to get a little bit of peace, just to feel a bit of safety. And a big part of like the awakening process is acknowledging that, really with your heart, acknowledging this has been quite hard, you know, and that is, you know, that guy, that often the child that's grown up didn't deserve it. And and I feel that sorrow, you know, I feel the grief and the loss of a life not lived, you know. I say a life not lived, maybe that's a bit dramatic, but it's a different path, isn't it? But yeah, I think certainly for me, it's been a big part of my experience, is that really feeling into the way it was and saying, actually, that kind of sucked. And I'm sorry, because that's me. So actually, I turn to myself and hold myself and say, I'm so sorry. And I'm not going to abandon you again. I'm not going anywhere.